Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Megan and this is From Yes to I Do. So today's episode is going to be all about getting started. So basically, once you've gotten engaged, you basically want to figure out all your different options, and so you need to get really organized. And I feel like the best way to get organized is to educate yourself. If you've never planned a wedding before, or if you don't have any cousins or anything, or if you just don't have a very well-rounded education or knowledge about weddings, I suggest getting a couple books. So there's one company specifically that I've basically used for everything from educating myself all the way to finding vendors. So it's The Knot, and they have a few books, and this is one of the books that I really liked. It's called The Knot Complete Guide to Weddings in the Real World. This is a really old version. They've come out with a couple new versions since this one, so I suggest getting the newer version. It's a pretty thick book, but it's an easy read, and it's really useful if you don't really know much about weddings. I'm going into this not really knowing like anything about Western weddings, so this book has been super helpful. It breaks down everything for you, so it has budgeting, attendance and guests, pre-wedding parties, ceremony, reception, how to deal with guests that you don't want there but their family. So this book has like basically everything in it that you really need to educate yourself on weddings and kind of like the standards, and it has a lot of terminology in there as well. So it's really useful to read each section before you meet your vendors, and I really suggest you go out and get this book. The next book that I have is also by The Knot, so all the books that I'm going to suggest except for my organizer are from The Knot. It's called The Knot Book of Weddings List, and this is what it looks like. This has basically the same breakdown in the book. It has the wedding plan, the reception, ceremony, menus, guests, other parties, wedding party, flowers and decor, wedding cake. It has like a ton of stuff, and it basically is like a little bit more detailed than the first book that I showed you guys, and it has like a list of all the different things that you want to make sure that you're hitting, like the points that you're hitting when you're meeting your vendors, which I thought was super helpful because it has a lot of questions and points that I hadn't really thought of asking or even looking over with my vendors, and it brought up a lot of really good points to actually ask them and make sure that I knew what was going on. And then if you can see, it has like little check marks next to each section. I don't like writing in books myself. I don't know why, I don't. So I haven't written in mine, but it also has little lines on the side so you can take notes if you like. Now, if you don't have a wedding planner, I do suggest those books. I really suggest those books. If you do have a wedding planner, I still suggest those books just so you can kind of have a good idea of what you need to go over with your vendors. You might have a bit better of a background going forward in your wedding planning. The next thing that I suggest getting is actually The Knot magazine, and I'm not sponsored by The Knot, I just religiously follow them. And like, I think that all their products are super helpful and really useful. So that was the fall 2016 issue, and their magazines have a ton of stuff in them, all the way from your wedding dress to kind of basically like a 12-month timeline of how you should be getting things done. And that timeline was super helpful for me. Like, going into this, I kind of understood, like, yes, I have 18 months, but to see everything done in 12 months, it was kind of a lot. I could see how much I really have to get done in the next 18 months along with school, so I thought that that was really helpful. But I got some really cute bridesmaids dress ideas, also my own wedding dress ideas, and they have pictures of shoes. They have a lot of pictures of engagement rings, which I think is kind of pointless. I don't really understand the point of that, because typically when you're getting these types of magazines, you're already married, but I don't know, I guess some girls get them before they're engaged. And then it has like things like this where they've kind of like laid out some color schemes and different things that are decor items that you can put with those color themes, and just it gives you a lot of ideas for your reception and for your actual ceremony. A lot of tips and tricks, and there's advice in here that other brides have given, basically saying that this is what happened on my wedding day and I wish that it had gone differently because of this, or I wish I'd done this differently. This is like good to take with you, maybe on a flight or on a train on the way to work, or if someone else is driving you to work, you can read it in the car. Hopefully you don't get car sick. So my last little organizing thing is my Erin Condren planner. So I got the 2-year planner, or the 24-month planner, It actually is going to go 6 months past my wedding date, but I figured it would be useful for planning the honeymoon and our itinerary and all that. So I got mine in this design. I didn't really customize the colors. You can customize the spiral collar, the different designs that you have on the front. I just did Mr. and Mrs. 2018. And you can put a picture on the back if you want to as well, but I didn't really opt in for that option. And then it also comes with this really nifty little bag that you can attach on the spiral portion, so you can keep all your Post-its, your pens. I have a couple stickers in here, all my pens, a highlighter, some scissors. And then what's kind of cool about the cover is if you turn it to the inside of the cover, so you can see the lines, and it's actually like laminated, so you can use dry erase markers to take notes or draw something if you want to. And then the next thing is it comes with all the different months, and then it also came with stickers, so I could number all the days in the months for up to 12 months. So I have the 24-month one, so my last 12 months don't actually have any stickers on them, but it's not a big deal. You can just like write it in. And then what's kind of cool is on the side you have your little goals area, so each month you can kind of see like what you want to make sure you get done and see whether you've actually gotten it done. And that's been super helpful for me even just in the past month. After all the months, you get this tab that's called the I do list, and then after that you get several pages that are different little topics. Like the first one is top 10 wedding tips. The next one is getting started, so you have little circles for your wedding colors, and then favorite styles and themes, and you have some lines to write down a few things that you want. And then the next part is 3 most important wedding must-haves. So mine are perfect dress, good photography, videography, and beautiful floral arrangements. So those are my 3 basically like non-negotiables. The next thing is basically like another timeline, like a to-do list. So it kind of gives you the broad spectrum of what needs to be done. Each increment of months, it gives you basically the big things that you need to get done, like creating a budget, choosing your wedding party, hiring a planner if you want to, booking your efficient, looking into music options, and then it goes all the way up to 1 month before, and then it gives you a little bit more of a breakdown for the week of the wedding. And then you also have a little section on the side of that to write some notes on each page, so if there's anything that was missing on the timeline, you can just add it in yourself. And then the next pages are the wedding party, so I have my wedding party on the left and Kevin's wedding party on the right. It also gives you suggestions of what to write down about your wedding party, like their phone number, address, suit size, shoe size, and measurements. And then the next pages are an area for us to write our vows. Obviously, I'm not going to have Kevin's vows in my planner, but it gives me 2 pages to write my own, so I have a little bit of room to scribble around a bit and see what I want to write. The next pages are the guest list, and it also just suggests that you create a spreadsheet with their name, mailing address, email, and RSVP info. So these pages are basically just for like a tentative guest list of people that you want to invite. So then you also have a budget checklist, and this is really useful. So this is good because you can kind of carry it around with you while you're going to your different meetings. You can easily pull up how much you have budgeted for a specific vendor. So if you're meeting with like a photographer, for instance, like we're meeting with a photographer today, if you know that your budget is, let's say, $4,000 for photography and videography, but you meet with a photographer and the package that you want is $4,300 just for the photography, you know that you're probably not going to be able to go forward with that vendor, but you can definitely like check them out and see who else that they can suggest that might be in your price point. So it has a little section that says budget, so what your budget really is supposed to be, your estimate for what you think it's going to cost and what you actually spent. The next page basically has like a list of important pictures that you want to make sure that you get taken, and then it has some space on the side for you to write down some other shots that you want to make sure that your photographer gets as well. And that's really good to have done and written down all the extra ones that you want before you meet your possible photographers, because then you can show them basically like what you want to make sure that you get, and they can tell you whether they can actually get those shots or not. Next page has a music list. So it has the, it suggests that you put the song title and the artist for all of them. So there's probably like 40 lines for different songs. You don't have to do that. Some DJs don't like it when you do that. Some DJs are okay with you basically picking out most of your songs. And then there's also a wedding party intros section, first dance section, father-daughter dance, and mother-son section. Next page is flowers. It has a little area that shows you the flowers of the season. So gardenia is the summer, hyacinth is spring and winter, hydrangea fall and summer. So you can kind of get an idea of what flowers are blooming in what season. So then for your actual wedding, you kind of know what flowers to really go for. And then it has a section that has for the bridal party, so you can kind of say like what colors you want, what flowers you want for their bouquet specifically, and then for the ceremony and for the reception, basically the same exact thing. You can write notes down about like what you want, what your vendor has kind of agreed to. And then the next page is sweets for the suite, which is basically like your cake and any other little sweet treats that you want to have at your wedding. And it has a very helpful picture of a cake on the side and the different tiers and how many people each tier serves based off of the different inches of the tier. And then it says, so notes from the cake tastings and then other sweet treats for the wedding. Next page is a page for your alcohol, which it shows that a champagne glass is usually 6 glasses, a wine glass is 4 glasses, and liquor is 16 mixed drinks. So you can kind of get an idea of how many bottles you need to buy if you're buying the bottles individually or if you're buying them just for the toast or whatnot. And it says it has different areas for writing down notes for your wine, champagne, beer, non-alcoholic, garnishes, signature cocktails, and miscellaneous. And then the next page is the wedding menu. So it has what you're going to have for the rehearsal dinner, the reception dinner, and then notes from the tastings. The next one is the vendor contact list, which is super important that you have on your wedding day. And I think that this is something that not everyone realizes how important it really is, because on your wedding day you don't want to have to be dealing with a bunch of stuff or anything that goes wrong. So if you have this vendor list, you can basically give it to either your mom or your coordinator or your wedding planner, and they can just deal with anything that goes wrong, because on your wedding day, you want to relax. You don't want to have to think about anything that's going wrong. And if anything does go wrong, you don't want them to tell you. You want them to just fix it for you, because inevitably something is going to go wrong, and you just have to accept that before your wedding day. The next couple pages are seating arrangements. So it has the table numbers, and then you have 10 slots to basically write down who you want at what tables. I'm most likely going to be using this because I'm going to have people sitting at specific tables, but I'm not going to have them sitting at specific seats. And then the last 2 pages are information for your honeymoon, so where you want to go and how long you want to go, and then departing flights, arriving flights, hotels, so basically like your little itinerary, and you can take a photocopy of it and make sure that your parents have it just so they know where you're at, and any phone numbers that they might need just in case they need to contact you. The last section is a little thing that basically shows you how to write thank you notes, and this is something that I think is really helpful and useful, because I wasn't really sure how you're supposed to write thank you notes, and it has a little template basically. So you say, dear so-and-so, thank you for blah blah blah, and then you can write whatever else you want. There's suggestions, but it kind of gives you an idea of like how to write your thank you notes, and I'm sure like once you get started writing them, you'll kind of get into it. And then there's probably like another like 100 pages where there's 50 pages of lined paper, and I've taken notes already on some of them. So there's just a bunch of lined paper, and then there's also blank pages, so you can do drawings of like your cake while you're doing cake tastings, or if you want to just take extra notes or anything, if you already filled up those lined pages. And then in the back it has some stickers that you can put on days, so you can do like anytime that you're meeting the caterer, you can put the caterer stickers or the photographer stickers, dress shop, and then there's also blank ones that you can fill in whatever you want. And then they have different colors in the stickers. Like I've already used 2 of these ones because the month that I was in had this color sticker. So I kind of just wanted to match it to the sticker of the dates that were on that month. But you can mix and match however you want. It doesn't really matter. And then there's a bunch of completely blank ones in the back for you to write on. So if you already used all the caterer stickers, you can create your own or if you're meeting with anyone that's not on those lists, you can make your own. And then the last thing is a little folder that you can fold some paper into and put in, which I've already done. So anytime that you meet with a vendor, if they give you some paper that basically has like a breakdown of their packages, you can just fold it up and stick it in your planner and you can take it with you on the go. So now that you're basically all organized, the next thing that you want to do is pick your date. So you can either do it by like how long do you want to be engaged, how soon do you want to be married, do you need to be married by a certain date, or do you want to wait until you're graduated from college. So the next thing that you need to get going is your guest count. So for us, our venue is a little different. They don't charge based off of like just your rental fee of the reception hall or the reception area and the ceremony area. It's a per person price. So the more people we have, the more expensive the wedding is going to be. So I originally wanted to keep it under 75 people originally, like just anyways, but Kevin's family is so big that we couldn't do that. Plus the wedding venue has 125 minimum. So we're trying to keep it around 125, or as close to 125 as possible. We also had to decide, was the venue more important or was the guest count more important? So for me, the venue was more important than inviting the entire family or everyone plus their plus ones, because a lot of them I've never met before. Kevin hasn't seen in years, so it just didn't seem logical to spend over $200 per person for someone that I've never met. He hasn't seen in like 10 years. So we decided to go with a more expensive venue. And then lastly, you kind of want to decide what are your 3 most important things, kind of like how in the Erin Condren book it has those 3 topics. So mine were my photography, my dress, and my florals, but I'm paying for my own dress, so that's kind of out of the picture. I know I'm going to have to compromise on that because I don't have enough money to buy like my dream dress. So my venue, photography, and florals were now my top 3. But when you pick those top 3, just keep in mind that not everything is going to be within your budget, and there may be one that you can splurge a little bit, but you still want to try and stay within budget, and then maybe cut somewhere else a little bit, or try to go a little, not necessarily like cut out of what you want in your wedding, but maybe like with your invitations, if there's like an extra little card that you want to put with it, instead opt for maybe like online invitations, or don't put that extra little card in there because that can add like a couple $100 onto your invitations, depending on how many people you're inviting. Alright, so that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed this. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you want to continue to watch these wedding videos, and I will see you next time on From Yes to I Do. Bye guys.